picking up here at the let's see here. I think this is the beginning of the second issue. We're still in Mississippi, right? We're still out there in the middle of the forest, noose hanging above, and Johnny Ray. What is his name? Johnny Ray. That's what we're gonna call him. Johnny Ray is on his hands and knees begging for his life. Little does he know the people that he actually need to beg is a little behind him. It's just all those Klans members that have seemed to come back to life. Adding on to, again, our understanding of what Junos actually are, right? So we've seen the Klans members. They were men. Ford pulls up, airs it out. They come back, and they look a lot more like those Juno that Cullen and Berg had on top of the Sangerye's home in downtown Harlem. So he begins to slaughter them. Johnny Ray and old dude that he saved from the Moonlight Walk there are pretty petrified, but I think he's got it. I like what they're doing with the bounce back and forth, the simultaneous story, keeping the lines going at the same time.
One other thing of note, if we look at the weapon that Ford is wielding versus the weapons that the other Sangeryes are wielding, his has purple liquid in it. Theirs had green liquid in it. That's
a good note. That is a good note. He looks like he's using a different blend.
Yeah, exactly. That plays a part.
It does play a part. That's coming up. We're gonna stick on that one for a second because I want to know. We'll get there. We'll get there. We're hopping back over to St. Nicholas Park, right? Berg has been knocked out. He's incapacitated. What do you call a Juno that's been cleansed? You just a person again?
Look,
just a person.
Diet Juno. Juno.
One of the ladies. One of the ladies is coming too, and she's scared as I don't know what. This one though, this monster that they're encountering, the bird monster, is speaking to them, and it knows their name. So, from everything that we've seen from the pack of KKK Juno, from the two Juno that were on the roof, they don't speak. They don't have cognitive thought. They seem a little mindless. Right? This one clearly has a purpose and can speak. So this is not a Juno. I think they've gone out their way to tell us that flat out, that this is something different. This is a whole nother breed.
Right. And even when we look at them, they aren't with them being Juno, there's a difference between how they treat the Sangeryes and how they treat everybody else.
You're right. You're right. Because as I'm looking through this, Cop tries. He tries. I don't know what he was thinking he was going to do, but he pulled up his little 38 and he let a couple off and get himself slaughtered. Now that you are absolutely right. That easily could have been Berg when they started fighting the monster, but rather than do him like he did the Cop, he tore him up. So I think that's given us even more context, a little bit more clues to who that person actually is. Uh-oh.
When I write my first comic book and I got a creature in it, no police officer will be pulling out a 9 and still standing there. We'll be pulling out a 9 and running the other way. Because I don't know how this goes down in real life situation where me and you see something that ain't human. We got our 9s. We know what's in our 9s. I'm not there, and we see the thing tossing stuff to the side like it's nothing. I don't see me and you still standing there just emptying clips.
I'm out. What are you doing? You lucky to be alive. Roll away. Hide in the bushes. What you shooting for? He was just so positive he was about to make a difference, man. He was so sure. He was positive. Oh my God.
I ain't gonna do that. It's always in a story, whether it's the comic book, the TV, the movie theaters, like, never mind.
Yeah. Moving on, Cullen is a very brave soul. Brave guy. I like it. He's got a lion in his heart. We need to get him in a UFC gym, though, because it don't seem like nothing he got is affecting anyone. Not this monster, not the Junos. It don't seem like he got any smoke for anybody right now.
You ready? This me looking at the fan. Yeah, Cullen don't look like he got anything going on for himself right now.
Right now. Hey, yeah. Right now. He need to do some push-ups as we looking at it. But
get some Wheaties in his system or something like that. Eat some bread, creatine, something gonna get his weight gain, whatever.
The monster dispenses with Cullen, makes light work of him. He does make sure to let him know before he leaves, I am not a Juno. Can you hear me? Like I'm speaking to you. I ain't no Juno.
And I'm gonna carry these 2 boxes off with me too.
Yeah, ran off with the 2 cleansed people that they were bringing back to the park. So that's key, something to pay attention to. The 2 black cops they dropped off to Juno earlier in the first issue end up running into Berg, and Cullen probably going to end up taking them back to the spot. It's seeming like they're well. I like these 2 cops. I like them because it shows an interesting dynamic that we usually have in the community, right? You got your one that's, I guess both sides of it have their pros and cons. You got your one that's down for anything brown and ain't making no type of quarrels about it. They standing up, they standing loud and proud. You got your other one, the skinnier cop,
like the new
guy. Samuels. Right? So Sullivan is the bigger cop, Samuels is the skinnier guy. Samuel seems to be more of the black conservative.
Yeah.
Right? He has certain opinions about black people, and if you don't fit his idea of what it's supposed to be, then you're not fit. Right? So you have pros and cons with those both ways. Right? But it's showing a dynamic that you can kind of flesh out that's once again grounding us in real life, showing you the many different shades of black people and who we are capable of being. People have a set idea of what they think black people are, and there is no set idea, right? We aren't a monolith.
I got a question, because remember this scene, the bird is running away with the 2 individuals.
Yep.
He's carrying them off and everything like that. So as I'm looking at this, I'm going back because it's just a conversation piece between, you said Samuels and
Sullivan.
So I'm of the mind Sullivan is the heavyset guy, right?
Yes.
Sullivan is Irish. They're doing a trope on us. Watch this. He says, Sullivan, did I just see the biggest, scariest, ugliest monster running off with 2 half-naked people? And I understand it could be confusing because it confused me too, but I just read this dialogue that just made me think about it. Because the coloring, we don't really know until we look at the hair texture. But looking at Sullivan's mustache, when he replies to Sam, he says, damn, I was hoping it was just me losing my marbles. Whatever that was, I bet you your people know about it, Samuels. Black.
You know what? He said something like that in the first one, but it seemed like he questioned what Sullivan said, or excuse me, what Samuel said about the Sangeryes. It was like, those people? What you mean those people? Don't you mean your people? And I took it as like it was like yo people, like somebody black telling somebody else black, like that's yo people. Yeah. But it really could have literally been, no, you over there with them too. So you right. I can't tell because right now looking at it, the skin complexions are almost the same. So I don't know if that just means that Samuels is really, really light skinned, or if Sullivan got a little olive tint. But you're right, he did.
Like the context of the conversation that they have, and then I'm looking at the mustache. I'm like, I would have a mustache like Sam. Me and you got a mustache. That bush thing, that curly thing that Sullivan got. Not on our best day, we can't. Woo. So I thought it was something interesting. I'm like, you know what? Maybe because me and you both read it. Don't mean we both couldn't read it wrong or got the wrong. Like, Sullivan might be white. Wait a minute. So yeah, but
you may have a gentle situation. You may have a gentle situation, maybe half African, half Irish. Right. We're gonna shoot back to Mississippi with Billy Ray.
Billy Ray and
Ford and Billy Ray. And Billy Ray's a little upset. Lets a little racial epithet out, but we're gonna let that slide because he's a little emotional right now. So wipes them all out again after they reanimate, right? Puts them down. Billy Ray is struggling with the fact that he came there with them people, right? But he don't necessarily have no affinity for them. He probably didn't even know none of the people, but he feels a loyalty. He feels like he should be upset about it, and that's how he reacts. How often do we see people react on things that they feel like they should, right? And end up in certain spaces that get them in trouble.
But his mindset, though, which we see this play out in reality, he was just there with a group of people to hang somebody. And he said they got killed in cold blood.
In cold blood. They was getting ready to lynch a man.
You were just gonna hang somebody. What you mean? But we see this play out in real life. It's like, do you not see what you were getting ready to do? And you're more concerned about the response, not the cause. Billy Ray concerned about the response. He ain't looking at the cause, bruh. So the brother being hung by 10 of y'all was absolutely fine.
That was gonna be cool, right? Right.
Another brother coming up, taking out 9 of y'all, leaving you by yourself. That's wrong. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with it, but hey.
Another thing that's interesting here, right? So he tells them, yo, look, so these your people, right? So then maybe I should just go ahead and take you out. But then you begin to look at him. He didn't change. Why didn't you become a Juno? He goes on to tell them that their souls are tainted, right? When you do the type of stuff that you was getting ready to do tonight, that's what happens to your soul. So now that we've gotten a more complete picture on what these things are, I'm starting. My interpretation is a Juno is a living manifestation of what happens to your soul when you do things against that are things that you know are morally abhorrent, right? If you know you are going above and beyond, right, to inflict oppression or pain or feudalism on someone, that it kills the human part inside of you, right? The natural part of you that feels empathy, it destroys it.
Are you not what we would consider to be, forget how you look on the outside, but at that point in time, are you not a monster?
Right about that. Let's go back to San Juan Hill. Going back to the laboratory of Dr. Sylvester and Miss Nightsdale. Something is beginning to appear behind them, coming into some tunes. Here comes the devil. Oh man, I didn't even realize what they was playing. Here comes the devil, and then appears the bird monster. They dabbling in some dirty stuff, man. I don't like their vibe. Listen, I don't like it at all.
I promise you, I was reading this book from afar, and the more I read it, it just pulled me in. Cause I'm like, it just meant, like I said, if it's somebody, if to our fans, anybody that's my age and everything like that, and you lived in the deep South, this book definitely makes you think about all the stuff your grandparents, your great aunties, great uncles, and everything taught you about. Marcus, I was only in New York for 4 years, so I don't know what the conversation piece is up north. I don't necessarily know how that is up north.
So she drops the bodies off here, and it's seeming like a cleansed soul, as opposed to what they were able to procure before, may be the missing link to the serum that they're trying to perform, right? So I remember we were talking about in the first issue how they were talking about the Sangeryes were the key and that they needed to have them on their side. But how are you going to do that when you going on the offensive? Well, maybe this is how they plan to go about it, right? They needed them to do the work so that they could reap the benefit, essentially. You cure the soul, so then we can perfect the serum behind it. So it's seeming like the serum that they're taking is keeping them alive. That's what's actually what he says on the last panel, and they will keep us alive.
I'm listening to you. I'm thinking about the synergy that's at play here, and I think it's a nice little synergy going on here between the Genos and these other creatures, and as to what's truly going on with them. But I don't want to say anything because I know we got to get down there later on.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's a better spot for us to talk about that, and I know what you're kind of getting at, but I'll pocket you on just a second. it's looking like we back in with Ford, back to Mississippi, still doing this bouncing thing. And he is talking to, it looks like, the grandparents of the man that he saved.
Yes.
Old country shack house, right? And they begin to talk to him about his family. Now imagine in 1924, there's no internet. There's every house don't have a phone. Every house don't have electricity, right? They don't look like they have electricity in that house.
No, at all.
So the spread of information is very slow. And if you are a known commodity in Harlem, New York, the same way you're a known commodity in Mississippi, you have a reputation, to say the least. To say the least. In 1924, if they know your name in Harlem the same way they know it in Mississippi, you have some sort of reputation.
I come from the generation where I was dating a girl that went to the high school 9 miles up the road from me, and we used to mail letters to each other. That's communication.
Yeah.
You imagine back then in the 1920s, you all the way up in New York, and they know about you in Mississippi, and they ain't using phones.
You know what that's a staple of? You know what that's pointing out? Being represented.
Yes.
You see how powerful it is to be represented positively? How people sing your name and your praises when they represent you positively.
I see you, brother. Go and do your thing. I see you. Go. No.
It goes so far beyond, because everything leads us back to recast the child. Everything leads back to recast the child. But it goes so far beyond that. Think about some of our quote unquote leaders in our community right now, who may be going through a hard time with their reputation, seeking our approval once again, seeking our help, seeking our validation. But what do you do with the power that we grant you? With the reputation that we've afforded you? What do you do with it? Do you give any of that love back? Do you put any of it back here?
Let me put it to you like this. So I'm in the 4th grade. My mother worked police dispatch overnight. So I was a latchkey kid overnight by myself in New York. So we saying 68, 5th grade, what are we saying? 75, 76, 77, something like that. And the very first time I saw Al Sharpton, the name of the guy, oh my God, he was on this guy's TV show. And this guy has been dead and gone for a long, long time. But he used to be a personality, a TV personality. I remember his name later on. But he was hosting Al Sharpton and this other guy. And this other guy was a brother too, but he had a heavy, heavy African accent. And I forget what Al said, but that brother said, if you say it one more time, it's gonna be a problem. And Al said it again. Live TV. Just like if you remember when the dude was talking about the quarterback from the Los Angeles Lakers, he said, if you call me that again, it's gonna be a problem. And the reporter called him that again, and the football player, the quarterback, turned the desk over. Al said it again. This dude, before Al could get the last word, I was like, so I'm saying that to say this. We entrusted Al Sharpton with a lot of trust back when I was a kid. I turned 54 in April. What did you do with it? You asked a very, very profound question. We give you all of this leadership, this respect, this power to lead us as a people. What you do with it?
What did you do with it?
That's a profound question, bro. I've never heard it asked like that before, but that is a very profound question. What did you do with the power that we gave you as a leader? So yeah.
A question we need to continue to ask today.
Absolutely.
The last thing that we got out of this conversation, and then I'll take us on back up to Harlem. It looks like Ford is definitively separating himself from the path of his family, right? He tells the family that he does not purify, which I just through the context of the book we read so far, that seems like the process of applying the serum to the souls while they cleanse and then placing them back out into the world to live, right? So that's the purifying part of it. Amputating is what Ford does, which is just putting you in the dirt, 6 feet deep, dirt nap, right? So that's his philosophy, right?
And notice
That's
where
where
he's
the
doing it
purple
at. Notice where he's doing it at. Up north.
in the deep south.
Historical
In the deep south, yeah.
talk about where racism is more prominent, it's in the deep south. Up north, they healing. Down south, he amputating. Shout out to the creative team for this book, for doing their historical research and everything like that, for taking into consideration the stories that they got from their grandparents and their great grandparents. I see it all throughout the first few issues of the story.
No, absolutely. There are a lot of historical aspects to this book. I can remember early on in the first issue where Maeda, or was it Blink? Blink was talking to Maeda about Bessie Coleman flying airplanes.
Yes.
Right. Like how many people know about Bessie Coleman right off the top of their head? But little mediums like this where you can introduce those names. Now, the next time you go out somewhere, you hear Bessie Coleman. I know who Bessie Coleman is. That's how information spreads. You know, that's how people learn about themselves and what they can do. You know, that stuff is important. They're getting ready, Ford and Billy Ray getting ready to head out, and he's getting his last little licks in about the Junos and, hey, clean, keep your nose clean. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up out here in all this mess. Billy Ray seems like he want to come along and he wants to learn more. Imagine that. Now imagine somebody being open to hear some information. We give it to you, and then you act accordingly. See, now we can't get people to stop talking about, oh, we don't want any of that critical race theory stuff. Like imagine creating an entire discipline to empirically track racism. So by the stats, by the numbers, like I can show it to you on a spreadsheet. That's not enough. Even that's not enough. Right? Listen, shout out to Billy Ray for being an ally.
Yeah, listen, Billy Ray, and then the complete 180, the expediency in which he does the 180. So, and this is, and once again, shout out to everybody that's involved in this process. This is how racism to a degree gets fed too many times. You have children, because Billy Ray is a young kid. Mm-hmm. Whether we want to sit up here and say he's in his 20s, and you didn't really see anybody around him per se. You know what I'm saying? Because they took the brother home.
Yeah. Yep.
Billy Ray don't.
He came along.
Right. So Billy Ray, in not having any identity whatsoever, not knowing who he was as a person, he falls in with the first thing that he think is cool, which is a hate group. It ain't no hating bone in your body. But this is what you finna do. This is what happens too many times in our society, our American society. A young white male, which is crazy because, never mind, the young black male gonna join the gang.
Now, ain't that crazy though?
the young black male gonna join the gang and kill other black males. The young white male gonna join the gang and start killing other black males. Anyway, never mind. But that's it. He had nobody over him. Sees what's going on. Now I got to give it to his for being mature. I'm not gonna act like there aren't young white men that have that level of maturity at that age. Like, wait a minute, this is dead ass wrong. Let me go do something different right then and there. And he down for the cause. Now, me and you both in this. We just started, so we're gonna see if he gonna be always down.
If he gonna stick it, yeah. If he gonna stick, for sure, man. I think it's an interesting thing to look at because, like you said it, right? Like young impressionable people, especially young impressionable men, they're ripe for the picking. They ripe for the picking for people to try and mold into a follower for whatever narrative it is that they're pushing. You know, that like the incel community was born out of that, right? You had an entire group of disaffected men. A lot of them didn't have the older male guidance that you probably would want coming up. Now they're entering into the world. They don't have a clue. Right. They're getting shut down at every turn. And now here's these guys coming in and they explaining away every problem you got.
Yes. Girls
won't talk to you. You ain't got a good job. You're poor. Your parents poor. You live in a bad neighborhood. Your job sucks. You know why? Them. It's them. Right? And it's if you really break it down to brass tacks, those guys, right? Your fresh and frauds, your guys that get on there and talk about how bad black women or women in general are, and all of that. They attack in the same type of unilateral judgment that you would expect a racist white American to do against us. It doesn't matter. It's in their nature. It's their fault. You not in the wrong for feeling the way you feel. No personal responsibility. For most, there's some in that manosphere that apply it, but for most, there's not. There's a severe lack of self-responsibility. There's not a whole lot different between that community and what we're seeing right here in this book.
It's not, and that's where it's got to be like, you know, if we take the Sangeryes into consideration, watch this. You're gonna love this one. I'm pretty sure I'm forward in this situation. I'm pretty sure. You know, I'm pretty sure.
You said Ford gets it. He gets it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm Ford. I probably didn't got tired of talking a long time ago. And I'm pretty sure, you know, no disrespect, Iman would probably be the Sangeryes up north and everything like that. The thing is that what winds up happening is this, and we're seeing it, is that as long as the message stays true, I'm gonna take it back to Blink. Marcus, you like my little brother, so you know, little brothers and older brothers, we have conversations we don't have around mom and dad. You know, it's our women that's leading this charge.
Sure.
Subliminally, physically. When they start talking about they not producing kids no more, it's because you sleeping with us. You sleeping with my woman. My woman turns your child black automatically. I'm sleeping with your woman. Your woman love me right now. Like, y'all been going to go get these tans for years. Y'all been going to get these liposuction shots and everything like that. Waist training.
Talk about it.
Now y'all want to get the booty big and everything like that. So really, at the end of the day, you shouldn't have brought me over here, because what I've done right now is I've infected you. That big country girl that you don't want to talk to with that big old booty, guess who want to talk to her? Tyrone. Guess what she doing? Giving Tyrone her whole check.
Listen, you don't know how much I agree. And if I sit up here and we start talking about the things I've read, Isis papers by Dr. Francis Press, we wouldn't be talking about Bitterroot no more. But you are right. You are right. You are right. Recessive genes are a motherfucker. Berg and Cullen make it back to the spot. Need help immediately. Berg's been injured by the bird monster. Blink and Maeda start scrambling. They realize very quickly that whatever has infected him, though, is definitely not a Juno. And they realize it relatively quickly because your boy is transforming into something.
Yeah.
He is transforming, and the infection is spreading quite fast.
And whatever it is, it ain't human and it ain't no Juno.
So I wonder, before we go ahead and slide into the next issue, I wonder if the fact that the infection doesn't take his cognitive function away has anything to do with the status of his soul, right? We've seen the other people, we've seen, you know, other characters infected and immediately turn into lifeless, brainless Juno. So maybe it's the poison that can infect anyone, but it's really what your heart is, where you at the pit of you, that determines good or evil.
Well, only
is the message I'm pulling from that.
If you are predisposed to it.
Right.
I think if you're predisposed to it, but you know, like you said, we're going, as the book goes along, we'll dive deeper into that and everything like that. I think there's a great analogy to go along with how that plays out.